what is it that you, as a kind of thin slice on your business, you are going to do better than anyone else and execute better than anyone else based on your insights and the things that you've done and the unique perspective you have and how you want to move to the next level?
Welcome to the Focused Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Duncan Faulkner, and it is my absolute pleasure to have with us today founder and CEO of the SaaS Elevator. They pitch themselves as providing some of the world's finest training for SaaS founders and specializing in capital raising, amongst other things. Welcome, Simon. How are you?
I'm good, Duncan. I haven't got my light on, so I realized I should just move to a better lit spot. So I'm going to just go over here.
Oh, you look wonderful from where I'm sitting.
Is that better?
Oh, terrific.
Okay.
Welcome to the Focused Entrepreneur. How is New Zealand this morning?
Cloudy. I'm in Queenstown. We've had one of the best summer in decades, which followed one of the best winters since living memory. So we've done pretty well in Queenstown, and so I'm kind of enjoying staying close to home. Yeah.
Terrific. You've got a really interesting emerging technology scene down there in the lower south of New Zealand. I read a really interesting post on your LinkedIn profile. I think it was over the weekend, how you were scoring the tech sector out of 10. And I think you said you've gone from a 5 to a 7 potentially.
5 to a 6. Can't go to a 7. Can't go from 5 to 7. No, it's just my way of. Someone once said, I was talking about building something up, and they just said, well, you just got to start with 0 and take it to 1, and then you got to take 1 to 2. They think of filmmakers make a short film, that's a 1. Then they get commissioned or they get some money for a low budget feature, that's a 2. That's Peter Jackson, Quentin Tarantino, Taika Waititi. So it's just sort of building it up, and you end up like, I just think the whole idea of I think probably every community in the world, if you sat down with them and did a strategic development, you probably stop the clock when someone says, we want to be the Silicon Valley of da 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 da, and it's like Silicon Valley started as an orange grove, and then a company started which folded, and then the Hewlett Packard thing kind of started in a garage. It's just cheap land to somewhere to get started. So everything starts organically from the ground, and then you don't actually know what's going to come of it. Like it's going to, I guess from the focus entrepreneurs, how do entrepreneurs build things? Well, the most successful entrepreneurs have gone from a 0 to a 1 to a 2 to a 3 to a 4 to a 5 to 6, and they just keep on going, right?
So you've jumped from 5 to 6. What's changed?
Well, 5, I think, was the buzz around the country about what was happening in Queenstown, and I think I said in that post, I think Olivia Wensley did a really good job of that. That was kind of like the sparkle, the shizzle, the whatever. It's like. And 6 has been people showing up and coming together who are doing their best work, who are there to intersect and collaborate, and like nodes on a network, all built on kind of level 4, which is we've got some amazing spaces to collaborate in and work from. Yeah.
So Simon, you've become a bit of a household name in the kind of New Zealand SaaS ecosystem. Can you tell us a bit about the SaaS Elevator and what it is that you're currently doing with it?
It doesn't have a the. It's just SaaS Elevator. But yeah. Well, it's just what it says, except the idea is to take people up a level, and my career's been building SaaS businesses, and then I realized that, there was a way to inject something that was missing in the conversations I was having with founders. And, it was about really, I was building SaaS businesses in a big market in London. And here I'm back in, little level 2 Queenstown ecosystem. And I was going out of my mind to try and top what I was doing in London. And so I just started working with the people that were around me or people around the country. I never really sought out to focus on New Zealand at all. I really sought to focus on kind of SaaS companies around the world that I could serve. But I don't know if it's the algorithms or what, but or maybe it's the accent. But it's the Kiwi companies that have sort of gravitated first.
And just for those that aren't aware of your background, just tell us a little bit about the work you were doing back in London.
So I was the managing director for Diligent for UK, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Actually, when I started, I had the exclusive. I don't know if Diligent's doing 150 million a year at the moment in that region, but ARR. But I had the exclusive license. I had a reseller agreement exclusively in perpetuity for Diligent, which we kind of converted into just this standard old kind of contract. And yeah, I built that reputationally to a position where we hired a crack team. Most of them lasted further 10 years after we brought them in, sales and customer success and technical support. And I left that kind of prematurely. Everyone's like, why are you leaving? It's just going so well. I mean, we had hard years at Diligent. Like, people talk about their pain. We had so much pain. We were going to lose. The business is going to go bust at one point in the depths of the financial crisis. I got threatened to be kicked out of the UK because we had to cut costs, and you're like a shop on 6th Avenue that nobody needs. And then I kind of pulled out the colonizing analogy. I said, no, I've got a flag in the ground here. You shut this office down, kick me out. You're just gonna lose ground, and you're gonna lose so much. And that thankfully they stayed on. There's I think 200 people in Trafalgar Square now. So instead of after that it was me in the bedroom working on Diligent on my own, just to cling on for a little longer for boards to just stop. They're just having to sell off assets, redundancies. They're fighting for survival, and the best thing you can do as a salesperson is not call them for a couple of months. Right? I said I don't want to talk to you. Why are you calling again? You're just like, what's the point? If someone's in pain, just be respectful. So, but that gig was about learning about governance and boardrooms and how the boards of the world's largest companies tick, and getting comfortable with how I presented to a large group of very influential people in a business context, and mastering the art of selling enterprise software. Because I could see the chain of command all the way from the board, which no one really gets to see. I mean, most executives don't even get to see what their own board's like. But we were in there presenting. We were training them. I drew up. I remember JP Morgan said, "Can you train the chairman?" I was like, "Sure, no problem. Where is he?" "Well, he's up north of Aberdeen." So to drive up through these locks and looking at his Wi-Fi, trying to get 3G if the thing goes down, what kind of connections are you going to have, and how's he going to get his board papers electronically, and sitting with them, charging them nothing for all of that, because that's just what the lengths we went to for people. So that kind of excellence in customer success. They won gold medal service awards in America across any business category. They have a 7-second call response time, 24/7 anywhere in the world. If you want help, and it's not a call center, it's a diligent, trained, expert staff member going to sort out your Wi-Fi, going to sort out anything. And then 98% retention and all these upsells. So it's just like an insane business, and it was probably dumb of me to leave because I was also making an incredible amount of money. But from my perspective at that time, I had bought time because I made more than I thought I would. So I thought I'd take a punt on the next thing. The next thing was Aria. And Aria is, I'm calling it, this chat GTP3, which is going off. And it's ended like the world's consciousness, like it's really arrived. And one of our scientists at Aria is saying, what we need is something that arrives in everyone's consciousness. And we thought it, when COVID happened, you go onto the Aria site and you could get, of all of the COVID data for anywhere in the world, you click on your area and get a beautifully written expert analysis of what's happening with COVID in your part of the world, based on the Johns Hopkins University data set, all graphically mapped and everything. I was like, oh, now suddenly people are going to understand Aria. No, but if I just say it's like the brother of another mother to chat GPT-3, it's like, and Microsoft just put 10 billion into chat GPT-3. Aria's about to finish up the latest round, which will take it to about 225 million's gone into Aria. And it's just kicking ass in this field called natural language technologies. So that's my background.
And just tell us a bit about you've gone from that insanity, as you called it, in London and getting exposure to some of the the biggest boardrooms in the world, or high profile boardrooms in the world. Tell us about that transition back to New Zealand. What were your kind of biggest observations in terms of the attitude of the guys and girls you're working with over in London compared to being back down in Queenstown?
I think the biggest thing is that there's just nothing. There was very little for people to hang a hook on when I was talking to them about what I'd done, because they're such outlier companies. But if I'd been like, a senior sales manager for Xero in London, like, oh, yeah, I got you, because just the ecosystem kind of runs on Xero. It's like its operating system. And so, and I see that. I talked to someone recently who's a brand expert from Brazil, and as she's talking about these things she's done, I just got nothing to hook it on. I'm like, I have no understanding of the Brazilian market. I have no understanding of the context of the accomplishment. It has got a bit easier now because diligence gone right through government and into like, it's in a lot of businesses in New Zealand now. And as it's kind of broadened out around the world, I met Christopher Luxon on an Air New Zealand flight, sat next to him, and I just said board books, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I've got board books, yes." And so there's a bit more relevancy, but I think that because we also don't have global corporation headquartered in New Zealand, really. Like if we've got one, it's like, Peter Jackson's got a movie studio, or like or Xero's in Wellington, but it's listed on the ASX. So it's just this, we're not the center of the business world. And the stuff I've been doing has been at the center of the business world. I mean, with the business world, the world of business. Yeah.
And when you're looking at the landscape, or when you landed back in New Zealand and you're looking at the landscape of the SaaS industry and the tech industry, why did you decide, out of all the different areas of coaching that you could get involved with, why did you decide to, you know, specialize in capital raising?
Wow. So the capital raising thing is like, I see myself as a capital coach now. And what I mean by that is that before you go out and you start talking to investors, there is a long list of stuff that you need to get done. A bit like getting a house ready for the market. So if I come in and I assess, I've just started this thing called Create My Deck. Check my deck. So check my deck is send your deck to me and I'll check it, and I'll tell you whether it's good to go or whether it needs work. And the reality is that most are just not ready to go, and you don't go out until you're ready to go. So my approach to capital raising is that if the vision of the entrepreneur or the team of entrepreneurs is not on that page, if you are struggling to get it, and if you're seeing a presentation, if you're struggling to get it, it's because it's not on the screen, or it's not on the page. And if it takes another 3 hours of sitting down with that entrepreneur before the penny drops, and you go, oh my gosh, I can see why this is amazing, then you've just blown out 99% of the investors. And that's what happens when I go in to have a conversation with people or look at their materials. It's like you're just leaving money on the table.
I mean, you have a lot of conversations with a lot of tech founders. How widespread would you say that problem, let's call it, is with founders not being able to clearly articulate their product?
It's viral. It's a virus. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And
why is that happening?
Well, because people haven't been taught how to do it, and the people that are teaching founders how to do it haven't really done it themselves. You know, like, but I go deeper than that, and I go into what have you got and how can you dominate globally. So that's really where I start. So the capital raise is like the kicking the goal at the end. We work out everything. So what is it that you, as a kind of thin slice on your business, you are going to do better than anyone else and execute better than anyone else based on your insights and the things that you've done and the unique perspective you have, and how you want to move to the next level, and how the capital is going to accelerate you taking that next bit of ground. And so there's a whole lot of work before we even start looking at the deck. Because if I say the word, what's your category, then the answer for the last 4 or 5 years has been, oh yeah, we were asked this last year, and what we said last year was, and then we, it's like, how much is it? Oh, I know how much it is, but you don't know what category you're in? No, I don't. We haven't quite. What is a category? What do you? So the category is all the answers around how you're going to diligent. It's a board portal. ARIA, natural language generation, is what it started with. Now it's natural language technologies. Diligence now not board portal, it's governance, and then hoovered up all these other ones, and now it's governance, risk, and compliance. Number one in the world for governance, risk, and compliance. I had a conversation with a couple of entrepreneurs, and they're arguing about whether they're the best in the world at anything. They're in the same company. It's like, well, we kind of need to sort this bit out, because if you are, then we need to talk about it. If you're not, then find what it is, how you're going to get to be a leader. So that's a really important building block. And then the next piece is how does the capital game work? How are you going to raise money for that? What are all the options to you for raising capital for that? And then how are we going to tell the whole story powerfully so you can take that capital avenue and have a lot of options and close the round? So
it's a big job, capital raising. It's huge. How do you prepare people to walk into those meetings and ask for that money?
Well, but
because you're talking big checks. We're not talking $20,000-$30,000 checks. We're talking millions.
Well, I don't think it matters. This is the thing, is I don't think it matters the size of the check. I don't. It's if you want to put an album of music out, like, you want to do your best work. So the clarity and telling the story powerfully and remember, it's also like a game of cricket. You want to get to 300, you can hit sixes and get 250 grand checks. You can hit fours and get a 50 grand check. But you can also get doubles and singles, get 5 grand and 10 grand checks. So you closing the round and being kind of in control of your destiny is paramount versus how much sort of dismissing people. And you just never know. I mean, when I've done capital raise, at ARIA, we raised about 40 million through high net worths and private individuals. And you just never know. You never know after your presentation who's gonna drop what. You can't assume that someone's a billionaire, they're gonna write a big check. They might just go, here you go, here's a little bit, get you started, let's see how you go. And a lot of people are really excited, and they say no, and you're thinking, well, they've got a lot of capital, they've said no, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with this? And I've gone back and had conversations like, well, don't you believe? Didn't you believe in it, or what? He said, no, I totally get it. It's just I'd rather come in the next round. So come and see me in the next round. But you kind of think in your head, but we need the bloody money now. And they're like, well, I don't mind paying a premium in the next round. I'm quite happy to put a couple of $100 grand in after it's just sort of gone for another year. I don't care that I'm going to get less. It's fine. So there's all these dynamics, right? And you never know. They might end up being your biggest investor. So it's playing the long game with people and playing a direct face-to-face, if possible, game with people. In terms of the engagement.
Yeah. And as the founders are progressing through that investment process, let's say they've managed to successfully pitch their product and they're getting some good traction with the investors. What are the other common problems that you see tech founders experiencing between getting across what their business is through to closing the round?
So do you mean once they've done the presentation through the final kind
So look, they've got the interest of the investors. They're starting to talk about the investments, they're getting good traction. Are there any common pitfalls where you see things falling over after that stage?
Look, the art of closing a round is a whole topic, and it's not one that I've sort of focused on teaching. I teach kind of the investor mindset. I teach what creates value in companies, real value in the SaaS company. I mean, part of actually, so I have this capital curriculum, which is 3 courses, an intro course, and in that intro course, I actually go into this idea that if you want to stand out capital round, there are about 10 or 12 key areas that you need to. If they're at a 10 out of 10, then this thing is like the investors are going, oh, right? It's like a movie grabs you because it's got layers. You've got stuff you don't know what's going on, intrigue. You think it's going this way, it's going that way. The plot, the characters, like every scene has all these different layers. Every bit of dialogue has all these different layers. It's layered. So if your SaaS company is properly layered, then like what are the big themes around, like whether it's AI or data science or big data or like what? But there's all of these layers, and I think too often people don't unpack the layers and they don't actually focus on what it's got to be. They're a bit too literal, and they don't really. There's not enough magic. The magic's there, but it's just not really coming across, and so it's a little bit vanilla. So one issue is that people think, okay, well I've got the best practice deck that I got off, someone sent it to me, or I saw it at a presentation by the government or NZT or a venture capital firm or an angel group. I've got to go and make these 12 slides. No more than 12. It has to have this. Give me a problem solution slide. If I see a problem solution slide, I just about throw up. It's like, I don't want to see a problem solution slide because that's just, I don't know. It's just a reaction because there's a genericism about it, right? Anything generic just ends up being vanilla, and it's just like, oh, I've seen 5 of these, so there's another one. So now as an investor, I'm processing your thing against. I'm just comparing, like it's just a data point and a transaction. That's not what this is all about. This is not a data point and a transaction. So that's so if you don't have the magic in the moment when you're with the investor, you can't manufacture it afterwards. So the round dies because the momentum in the round, like, so you still haven't closed this round, and you're coming back to me like 2 months later. Right, okay, so now I'm thinking, okay, no one else is in for this. So am I the sucker that's going to stick my neck out, tell my wife that, or tell my husband or whatever that, whereas when it's hot, there's momentum, and the rounds. So 2 rounds where the entrepreneurs have gone through my courses, capital curriculum. I have personally built every pixel of their deck with them, given them a little bit of training, not much. They open the round. I've found for both of them, I've found a million of investment. I'm not the guy get capital guru, and I haven't got a war chest of money to invest. So I'm kind of like capital agnostic. but on both occasions, I've had a million that I've literally called them up and said, I've got someone that wants to put $1 million into your round. And they're like, I'm sorry, I haven't got room. I said, are you telling me you're turning down $1 million? And they're like, yeah, isn't that crazy? And I'm like, that's fucking crazy, you know?
I love it. I mean, to be able to get into that position, right, where you're turning away money, you probably wouldn't expect that at the start of a capital raise. So I mean,
it's because it's like opening day, or it's like an IPO. It looks so hot. They're talking so powerfully about it. They're so like, they know what they're on about, and that's why I'm going to this moniker of the capital coach. Like, they're so what they're on about, and then it's open day, and one of these closed like within 4 days for like $36 million of investment. Like, it's insane what can happen if you do it right, and it's sad that people are leaving money on the table because they're doing what they've been told, and what the institutions all around the world say you should do. My model is actually built on my very good friend Gerald Henry, and he just takes an artisan approach, and we have built so many materials. Him and I, it's like working in a music studio with David Guetta or Michael Jackson or something, right? It's just, honestly, it's like, oh, steam's coming out your ears going, I can't believe we've taken it to this level, and now we're going to keep working on it. And that's what it's like working with people that come through the curriculum or do anything with around preparing for a capital raise. I'm dreaming their business for them, and I'm collaborating. I used to be a playwright, and I wrote 9 plays. One of them was Fresh Off the Boat with Oscar Kitely, and that is the closest thing to building someone's capital deck for them, is writing a hit show that's toured the Pacific and turned into a radio play and a book and everything.
So when it comes to your capital raise, founders can be doing the coaching piece, you know, with yourself and working through that process. How important is the networking side of things? You know, does that need to be happening in parallel to the coaching with you, the founders cultivating their own relationships?
Yeah. Again, I'm not good on this, right? But I know when it's working, and when it works, you find somebody who's made a lot of people a lot of money, who's got a lot of trusted contacts. You find somebody who's got a lot of trusted contacts with a lot of people and made them a lot of money, and you get them on side, and then you warm them up, and that warm up could take you finding them. I don't know where you find them. I mean, they're just like hen's teeth. But it's, if you're a director of a director of a company, say you're a director of a public company, you're loaning your reputation to that company. Something I got taught when we were doing ARIA and putting it live on the listing it on the London Stock Exchange on the AIM market. So it's a loan of a reputation. So if you've got an intermediary who can be trusted by a lot of people who are hard to reach, who've got a lot of capital, then that intermediary's trusted relationship is kind of being loaned to you, the entrepreneur, and you've got to give them something for that. If you can set that up, then you've got another pathway to raise capital that's unique to you and everyone else in the world. But they've got to believe in you. It can't be a transactional thing. It's like backing Lewis Hamilton. This guy is going to win. He's won the go-karts. He's going to win the next race, and then he's going to go to Formula 3 and 2 and 1. You know, that's the most powerful way to network. Just network close as you can to a lot of capital, people who own it privately. Yeah.
And with the people that you see, or the founders that you see, day in, day out, some are succeeding, some aren't succeeding. What are the qualities that you see in the founders that are succeeding?
So there's this instinct for business. There's this instinct for a solution that is. I mean, I mean, probably said this 5 times in the last week. Is what you're showing me a game changer for that industry? Like, is it unique? People get confused with competition. I'm trying to help someone at the moment. It's just kind of like your competitors are not all the different players that aren't in your category. Your competitors, who else is in your category? That's who your competition is. And if no one else is in your category, you haven't got any competitors, right? And then it's like, you're just showing me this thing. I saw one just before this call, and I was like, so, and this is like a licensing to one customer for $3 million a year, brand new. And when I saw it, I said, "Is this view that's in your product a game changer? Has anyone done this? Is this?" And the answer is, it's completely unique. It's a game changer. Okay, like that's a solution, you know. And have they got the hustle? Same questions, like, so our next call, can you do nights or are you just doing days? How about 9 o'clock tomorrow night? Okay, great, I'll do that. Like, just boom, I know there's someone who's like responsive, and this is everything. Like, did you ever see the thing with how Jamie Foxx got to be on Gold Digger with Kanye West? He got a call at like 3 a.m. from Kanye's manager and said, "Kanye's in the studio. If you want to come down now." Or he wasn't even his manager. He was Jamie's buddy. Jamie's just down there in LA in the studio, belts out Gold Digger at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Because what's he going to do? No, can I make it? Like, I got to get some sleep. And how about Tuesday next week, Kanye? I mean, Gold Digger wouldn't happen like that, right? It's the same thing I'm looking for. Is like, we're on or we're not.
Just making shit happen.
And then speaking with customers, like I've tried to. Sometimes I hear some things from people who I really, really, really hold in a really high regard, and they kind of just inject this into my brain, and it's not my lived experience, it's their lived experience. So what I'm talking about at the moment is pretty much my lived experience. So I know I'm just, and so that's where I'm talking from. So when someone says something like that to me, and they're just like, if I got to start a company, I just go talk to hundreds of customer interviews. And I was trying to pass this on to somebody, and he's just like, yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, I know you got to talk to customers. I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like, you really, really, like, you're talking, he was talking about something quite grandiose and kind of in that sort of exponential technology space without actually having done a solution for even a fraction of that, and really nailed something. And I understand, and he's already talking about, rolling with the big boys, and these different people get bedazzled by capital and they go into the big boys. Yeah, I'm like, there's no way you're going to come out with anything you're just going to get you like, if you can't nail something with like a customer that you really know that you've solved something, don't go out and be all kind of like, it's like trying to get a Hollywood deal when you haven't done enough of the short movies, low budgets, that you just like, but you can get bedazzled by Hollywood and you lose a lot of time getting bedazzled. So that just, this comment was customer. So I'm really listening for people and whether they've got the goods with their customers or their potential customers.
Simon, it's been really, really fun talking to you this morning. I didn't think we'd be talking about Kanye West. Look, the SaaS Elevator, if there's any tech founders out there that are wanting to get in contact with you and show you their decks, how do they do it? Where do they start?
Yeah, so simonsmall.io is my website. So you can contact me through that, simonsmall.io. And you can also send decks to capital@saaselevator.com. And awesome. Pretty soon I've got checkmydeck.capital, and so you can also use that in the future.
Brilliant. And we'll throw some links into the comment section. Simon, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your New Zealand summer, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Great. Thanks so much, Duncan. I really enjoyed it, and I hope some people have got some good value out of today. Appreciate everything you're doing.
Thanks, Simon. Take care.